Mzansi, don't cry. Gotta keep your head up, even when the horse is strong. Never give up, Mzansi, don't cry. Tupac was not lying when he said South Africa is a movie, it's a drama, it's a series, it's a telenovela, it's a dance show for good measure. He wasn't lying, and we continue to see the drama because in the Madlanga Commission today, it was a tale of two witnesses, and those witnesses diverged at certain points in dramatic fashion. We're going to talk about that in this episode. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of The Dissection. Now, the first thing I want to say is the commission is moving fast. And it's moving furiously. And it's giving me the impression that they are trying to land this plane in a different manner to what happened at the Zondo Commission, where it got a little bit hazy, fuzzy, and the quality of evidence presented was not sufficiently compelling, and as we know, no action has been taken. It looks as if lessons have been learned and the evidence leaders are working fast, 2 witnesses a day, and we are seeing astonishing amounts of quality evidence. It's important to point out that it's quality evidence because there are some people who are saying that they could not see, would not see the evidence that has been presented, which is why Tupac talked about the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the hypocrisy that I'm seeing in Mzansi. Mzansi, don't cry. He said it. There is evidence and we're seeing it. Now, the question really is going to be what is going to be in that first report? Because there's supposed to be a first report that goes to the president, and also the commission has powers to recommend for prosecutions and arrests and all of that. So at level 1, if now there are some recommendations made, arrest Sibiya, arrest Brigadier Dubious, Fulius, Julius Mkwanazi, that will be something that will show that this commission has teeth. So today, it was all about dockets, baby. The 123 dockets. You've heard it was 121. They say it's 123 when you take into consideration 2 cases which are closed. And I hope you noticed, we got the finger thingy. Salute General Khumalo. The Khumalo name today was handling business left, right, and center. But let's start with witness 1 who came in. And that was General Mutipe. And she came in and she gave the impression from the jump that she was Team Sibiya. Now, General Mutipe is the component head for serious and violent crime investigations. She's attached to the Detective and Forensic Services Division, which is headed by General Sibiya. Now, one of the things she mentioned in passing and a key figure in her testimony was General Kosi Sentimule, who's been mentioned as well by other people. So that's a key figure in respect to the handling of these dockets, how they were moving up and down. It'll be interesting to hear what she has to say. General Khan is another interesting figure who I'm keen to hear from outside of the other ones that we've heard of already, such as, Sibiya, Shibiri, all of these people who still have to come through and give their version of events and their testimony in a forum which is different from Parliament. Here, they want facts. Here, they will. The commission is now playing around. And look, the ad hoc committee is revealing a lot of things, a lot of inconsistencies, but people are also able to get away with saying, I don't recall. That's just a good idea. Maybe we should have done that. For instance, that was the level of testimony I got from Andrea Johnson. That was the level of testimony I got from Shamila Batoy. I don't think they'll be able to do the same thing here if they were ever to come here. But they're not directly implicated persons. But if they were to come here, and if at any point they do get implicated, then one of them will have to come through. And it may be Andrea Johnson because there may be some crossover between her husband, and some of the allegations which are being raised here. Nonetheless, this lady, General Kosi Sentimule, is going to have to explain a lot when it's her turn. And when I think about the strategy, and I don't know if you've been thinking about the strategy, the tactics, the chess game being played here. You got to try to understand, what is this? Is it King's Gambit, Queen's Gambit, Petrov defense, Sicilian defense? What are we doing here? And what is the end game? It looks like the evidence leaders are working up the ladder in the case of the Sibiya camp, the Mkunu camp. They started with General Mkwanazi, but there they worked down to the granular operational witnesses, the people who were on the ground, Warrant Officer Nkosi, etc. But they started with Mkwanazi, Masemola, went through almost from obviously the person who made the allegations, then the National Commissioner, who's the highest ranking police officer in the country. worked their way down to the warrant officers, witness A, B, C, D, who were able to give us granular testimony on what's happening. So there they work down. This way it looks like they're working up. So it's a V-shaped strategy, right? Where now they are going through, but going back to the top there towards Sibiya, towards Mkhunu. And I don't know where Brown Mkhotsi is going to fall here, but the brown envelope at some point, he'll have to come here. And I think, yeah, one lady once said 4:10, indlu yawa, indlu zowala. The house is going to fall at some point. So if you pay attention, you'll see that V strategy in play. Now watch this clip and you'll see why I've been saying some of what I'm saying around this particular police officer being Team Sibiya.
To clarify, the dismissal was in February.
It was okay. Transferred it.
And this is February when? 2025?
2025, commissioners.
After the decision to disband the PKTT was made?
Yes, after that directive of the minister.
And then, General, at paragraph 33, you speak about General Mkhwanazi's media briefing. And some of the statements he made there about the dockets. Do you want to elaborate on this?
Commissioners, if I can read my statement, this paragraph 33. During General Mkhwanazi's media briefing on 6 July 2025, he indicated that 5 dockets had warrant of arrest that had been issued and that the dockets are gathering dust at the head office of General Sibiya without being given the necessary attention. And I said it's not true.
Why do you say it's not true? Because this related to whether there were any investigations taking place. Is that not so?
Yes, commissioners.
So what this meant was the dockets are sitting at head office with no investigations going on. So it was in that sense that General Mkhwanazi was saying that the dockets were gathering dust. So why do you disagree with that? Because no investigations were taking place.
Commissioner, before the investigation was supposed to take place, we have done the inspections. I think it's part and parcel, even though it's not physical investigations of the docket. But by mere investigation, requesting the funding, it shows that we needed to go and do the...
But General, you've just agreed that what General Mkhwanazi was talking about was the fact that no investigations were taking place. So inspections of dockets and so on do not go to the question of actual investigations. So in that sense, the dockets were gathering dust. Why do you not agree with that?
That's the explanation which I'm giving, Commissioner. The docket were not gathering dust because this docket were only 3 months here with us, approximately, maybe 3 months. And then in the month of, they came March, and then April, the itineraries completed. When General Mkhwanazi refused the docket, the National Commissioner said that General Sibiya must use his own discretion. So also the inspections which we conducted, it shows we're doing something in the docket.
General, you should not take this personally. It's not you being criticized at all, and let alone personally.
Okay.
What General Mkhwanazi was talking about was that no investigations were taking place. Is that not so? That's what he meant in his media statement. Is that media briefing, rather? Is that not so?
Commissioner will take that. So that the investigations were never conducted.
In that sense, the dockets were gathering dust. That is what General Mkhwanazi meant. Do you accept that? You see, General Mkhwanazi's statement would still have been true even if someone, maybe a general worker, would pick up the dockets and dust them off every day so that there isn't literally dust on them. But they would be gathering dust in the sense that they were not investigated. That is all that General Mkhwanazi meant. Do you accept that?
I will accept that, Commissioner,
Thank you.
if you say it.
Thank you. Thank you.
At that point, I felt like her answers were gathering dust in the room as the exchange was happening. She seemed so resistant, almost as if it was a personal attack, almost as if she had skin in the game, like she cared about what Mkhwanazi was saying at a personal level. Because why does it matter to you that the dockets are gathering dust? Where do you fit into that? She seemed very resistant to concede the point, and her facial expressions, even at the end, if you say so, commissioners, not I am persuaded by your positioning, more if you say so. That to me was, Some of her other comments also indicated to me that she didn't take a favorable view of the task team, and maybe she felt that this stuff should have been with her or with her department already, right? So she was saying task teams are taking up a lot of money, the dockets which went from the PKTT to her office. And listening to some of those remarks, it felt to me like she was suggesting that her office was capable, was doing and could be doing some of this stuff, and it was taken away from her. So she felt almost like protective and territorial around this actual policing area, right? She also said she didn't agree that the PKTT was the best performing unit, but couldn't give metrics of success. So if you say, Michael Jordan is the best basketball player versus Kobe Bryant, then the question becomes on what metric? You can say, well, on championships, on the points scored, and you can talk about other attributes. And maybe I can come through and say, what about skill and skill set? Then we can have a conversation about that. There could be a debate. Same applies to Ronaldo versus Messi. For some people, it's the number of goals scored. For some people, it's the Ballon d'Ors won. For some people, it's some other thing. But there's a metric, a scientific metric which we can use to ascertain some of the, quantitative arguments that you're making. She then says, well, no, other teams are doing well as well. There's other cops who do this stuff. It's not just them doing evidence-led. It's not just them doing prosecutor-led. Madam, tell us why you are saying they are not the best. Who is the best in your opinion? Based on what numbers? She didn't do that. So that to me showed me a certain level of, saltiness, a certain level of, just displeasure in her soul towards the PKTT. But her strategy was also interesting because she was also creating room for plausible deniability to protect herself, it seemed. She didn't want to carry the responsibility for others where she didn't feel she had to. So in as much as I thought, yes, she is aligned to Sibiya and she doesn't like some elements of the narrative around the PKTT, because I guess it's like being a player in Kaizer Chiefs, hearing all of the wonderful things that Pirates is doing this season. I may feel some type of way, as a Chiefs player, or as the Nigerian soccer team, hearing that others are going to the World Cup and you are staying back home to eat some jollof. That may make me feel some type of way, But that's how she sounded, a little bit salty that she wasn't going to the World Cup. So I don't know what you thought. Let's have a conversation in the comment section. By the way, if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. We're aiming for 130,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We're ending horse curry behavior together. I think this channel is doing a valuable service. Let's grow. Let's comment. Let's like. Let's subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, that's Khumalo is coming for you for horse curry behavior. I'll speak to him. So she also conceded that, so let me discuss her strategy a little bit more, because where she was not saying she's responsible, she was definitely placing accountability or pointing the finger where she thought it needs to go. She placed a lot of accountability for the dockets on General Sentimule. She distanced herself from the decision to disband the task team, said should have been done with consultation. She also didn't think it should be done before the upcoming local government elections, because she's pointed out, and many of us know this already, that KZN is a hotspot for political killings, but also that they increase towards elections. So in as much as she did that, she also was still showing that she's a little bit salty and loyal to Sibiya and protective of the dockets. The timeline that she gave of the dockets to me was indicating dust. 28th of May, on 28 March, the dockets were collected from General Khumalo. Then they were put in the strong room. On the 10th of April, General Sentimule said they would go back to KZN. They did not go back to KZN. Then there was a discussion about the auditing of dockets. On 19 May, there was a meeting between her, General Sibiya, General Sentimule. In May, there was a detailed analysis of the dockets. That happened from the 19th of May to the 30th of May. She received an audit report on the 6th of June. Then the dockets only went back on the 28th of August. So in that period of time, nothing was happening, and it looked as if, they had enough time to take some action if that's what they were going to do. Now, she said that Sibiya told her that according to the approved organization structure for the SAPS, the Political Killings Task Team would cease to operate and would instead fall under the Murdery and Robbery Division. This is a different answer to different set of arguments to what Senzo Mchunu actually wrote on the 31st of December or published on the 31st of December as the justifications for the removal of the task team. So she was asked about that to say, you seem to be adding a lot more argumentation and detail, and this is not what was said by the minister. And then she said, well, maybe it's additional information that will then be provided. So she then asked for budget at the point where General Kwanazi didn't want to take the dockets back because he's like, no, dockets. How did you get these dockets? How did you get these dockets? If I find you inside my fridge, busy eating my milk tart, your fingers are in there, you're eating, and I apprehend you, now you're trying to give me back the milk tart. I'm like, no, man, how did you get the milk tart? That we have to have a conversation about the horse carrier behavior in everything there. So anyway, she then, at the point where the dockets were not going to be taken back, she then tried to make a plan. And she was basically recreating the task team, but not calling it a task team and trying to avoid all of that argumentation. And, was saying that there needs to be a specialized unit approach where there could be more training and facilitation for development. And then she would get different people from different places, not a team, but a group of individuals assigned to look at a specific topic, such as political killings. And those people would be a political killings grouping within the specialized unit. And obviously everybody's like, wait a minute, that sounds like exactly what the political task team is doing. So why do this duplication? So she asked for money. Masemola said no, because it's a duplication. You can't say, let's disband this task team, it's not working, and then recreate the task team. And she seemed to have an appreciation in her testimony that there was a contradiction there. She made an assessment of the dockets. She said there were 32 statements missing from Eastern Cape dockets. She said there were 10 missing statements from dockets linked to Greytown and Umlazi. There were 23 suspects identified by witnesses, not arrested. The ballistics that were missing on some cases. Then she made this assessment that there was widespread inaction on the dockets according to her team. So she leaves. And then the commission is like, now it's time for rebuttal. This is what I like about the commission, is because they're not letting you have your own words and then you go, and then that becomes, you will be challenged, and they will even set up your challenger right after you. So we heard from Colonel Khumalo, who came second. Very impressive and knowledgeable man, not a relative of General Dumisani Khumalo. He discussed key issues on how the dockets, investigating officers were at risk, and he was generally impressive in his demeanor, his delivery, and his operational understanding of the issues. And his records and accolades were impressive. At some point, this guy says, in the midst of all of my promotions, commissioners, I was then promoted. I'm like, stop it. We get it. You are a prolific man gathering promotions. Just gathering promotions. Others are gathering demotions. You're gathering promotions. Anyway, so that's, just listen to what he then discusses around the risks which were associated with some of the work that they were doing.
And you've had experience of the team being ambushed in the past?
Indeed. Perhaps people might even think that why using National Intervention Unit, because they are highly trained? Why using Tactical Response Team, because they are highly trained? They could go out there and fight the crime. Whatever that they are doing in PKTT, they are fighting the crime. In the past 7 years that I've been with the PKTT, we have experienced 3 attacks. But in those 3 attacks, I thank God even today that there were no casualties. The first one happened in 2019 when our team was traveling from southern side of the KZN, where they were investigating a politically related cases, and they came under fire at night. They were able to survive that, even though 2 of them, they were shot, but at the lower part of their bodies. The second one and the third, they happened actually in the same month. This was in 2022, December. The first one happened in Phoenix. The team was busy with the observation, and shockingly so, the victim in this followed the team up until the team reached a garage. And when they were at the garage, the victim started opening fire on our members. It was 4 members of the PKTT. And luckily, they managed to neutralize the victim, which is normal. The third incident, on that one as well, 2 of our members, 3 members were shot, but luckily no fatalities. On the third one, which is a bizarre one, the team was busy with investigation at Msinga, and as they left the police station, going up the mountains of Msinga, a vehicle started following them, and they could see that this vehicle is following them. And they accelerated, but the vehicle continued to accelerate up until they arrived at a certain point, and the passenger drew a firearm, a pistol, and started shooting at the members. Members were able to return fire, and 2 of them were shot, but then not fatally. One inference that could be drawn, and it's a proven fact, is that on all 3 attacks, commissioners, a hand of a police officer was detected. The matter of 2019, there was an R5 that was used. R5 is carried or allocated to police SAPS. And then on the other 2, definitely the member that shot our PKT members at Phoenix, he was a member of SAPS. On the one of Msinga, which I said bizarre, the driver of the suspect vehicle was a police officer. The passenger was member of the public. And that's the member of the public that actually drew a firearm and shot at our members. And then when we conducted the investigation, the firearm he shot us with, it's a police firearm. That means a police officer handed the firearm to a member of the public to shoot them. So out of all this, because of combat being part and parcel of the team, we were able to win that particular attacks.
When it came to the rebuttals, he was quite effective. He took the view that the PKTT was effective, results-based. One example he gave was of a murder case that was solved within 7 days, and that case taken to arrest and to the processing. Khumalo also rebutted the assertion that there were statements missing from the dockets. He said all of the statements alleged to be missing are accounted for. There were some questions around this because the statements were identified to be missing. There was a part of the docket where the notes were made about statements. Those statements were not seen by the guys at the head office. However, I don't think that was a mistake. I've noticed some things that the task team has done. I don't know if you've picked it up. The ballistics officer from KZN, he gave an interesting example about what happened with one of the cases that he was looking at. I can't remember his name now, but he says when he got the bullets and the guns, all of that, he was told, or the reports, he was told, listen, can you check if these linked to the political killings in KwaZulu-Natal? Then he checks level 1. I don't think that was the real reason they did that. Then they were like, oh, can you also just check other cases? Then he was able to do all of the linkages and all of that. Then I was like, that's a Trojan horse, right? They took it with one intention, which allowed them to get a hold of those things, then they really looked into the real intention. So I think that when those dockets were taken, there was an appreciation that some people are trying to see something in those dockets. Take out those statements. Take out the statements. I think it was strategic. And those statements may have been statements that would have put the witnesses in jeopardy, would have put the investigation in jeopardy. And if there was a concern about docket integrity, and I'm being asked to hand over dockets to another team, and I don't understand the reason why my team is being requested to remove those dockets, I may take some defensive strategies and actually remove some statements which I think are important. Now, Khumalo said those dockets, were not inspected properly at the head office, or so rather that certain dockets were not inspected at all by the head office. Of the 123 dockets, he said 92 were audited and inspected, but the other were not inspected. He said, that the issues of the statements resolved, they've been tracked down. He said the ballistic evidence that was missing is only because those were relatively newer cases. He said some information that was not contained on the dockets is track and trace information, which is intelligence information. You just don't leave it lying around willy-nilly. And he gave examples of what they were working on that was quite effective. He also mentioned how Sibiya was praising them at one point when he visited the province and was, I think, shadowing or working with them, whatever he was doing. And then he also pointed out that General Mutipe made a big mistake in her testimony, another one which he identified or pointed out, because she said that 3 police officers had been killed while investigating in the Eastern Cape. This was incorrect information because it was 3 people of interest who had been killed while those investigations were going on. So it was very convincing, very compelling, and I think very effective in dealing with the core of the arguments that were presented by General Mutipe in the morning and towards the afternoon. So that's how things ended today. We're going to have to see what comes tomorrow, but it was a movie, a tale of 2 witnesses, and their stories don't align. But I think all of this that is happening and being clarified now makes it much harder as we keep going up this V curve, right? Because we started with Mkhwanazi, went down, now we're coming back up to the other side. And this other side is going to have an uphill because there are many things that the commissioners want to hear about from certain witnesses that I do not think they'll be able to play the game that they played in Parliament in answering those questions. So let's leave it there. Let's meet in the comment section. I'll catch you in the next one. Soon and very soon. We are going to see the horse. Soon and very soon. We are going to taste the curry. Mkhwanazi uzoba bopa. He is going to bopa horse. Bopa, bopa, bopa yonki horse.